My mother was an Earth mother and the nicest person in the world.
Body text,
But my other children will never have the chance to know her. And at body text, my mother fought cancer for almost a decade and died at 56. She held out long enough to meet the first of her grandchildren and to hold them in her arms. When it came to fighting for her kids, she found a strength she didn't always know she had. And you completely live for someone else. I find that the most extraordinary thing, your life is handed over to someone else. From that moment on, they come first in every choice you make. It's the most wonderful thing. Make bold choices and make mistakes. It's all those things that add up to the person you become. Maleficent has suffered abuse in the past, and there's a reason why she is now as furious as she is. I think that children who have been outcast and abused in any way will relate to her. There's a beautiful side to her. She's not just a dark person. She has all these facets. And that is interesting. Was always so elegant. She always was in control. And to play her was difficult. I worked on my voice a lot. She's bigger than me. She's on a different level of performance that I have never done. Most women in my family start to get sick and start dying in their 40s. And I am going to be very happy to become 50 and 60. I love getting older. My chances of developing breast cancer have dropped from 87% to under 5%. I can tell my children that they don't need to fear they will lose me to breast cancer. It's hard to be clear about who you are when you are carrying around a bunch of baggage from the past. I've learned to let go and move more quickly into the next place. It's probably not an accident that the films that I care about happen to be about issues that matter to me, stories that I want to tell. It's probably that we all change constantly. It's rare to find that person who is growing with you in the same way at the same time, who encourages you to grow. I've never lived my life in the opinion of others. I believe I'm a good person. I believe I'm a good mom. But that's for my kids to decide, not. I've realized that being happy is a choice. You never want to rub anybody the wrong way or not be fun to be around, but you have to be happy. When I've told Billy if I ever caught him cheating, I wouldn't kill him because I love his children and they need a dad, but I would beat him up. I know where all of his. Just be a cool grandpa who's creative, and hang out and tell stories and read a book in the library. It's getting harder to make decisions, to just want to do something, to work. I'm trying to find things that are extremely challenging or mean something to me deeply. It's a great thing about being pregnant. You don't need excuses to pee or to eat. It was weird to be married. You kind of lose your identity. You're suddenly somebody's wife, and you're like, oh, I'm half of a couple now. I've lost me. It is a joy to be an artist, but it doesn't mean very much unless that work is somehow useful in some way and contributes to others. In my father's generation, the product was 80% of what you were putting into the world, and your personal life was 20%. It now seems that 80% of the product I put out is silly, made-up stories and what I'm wearing. I'm terrible at reading scripts. I love to read, and I hate odd-looking. Sometimes I think I look like a funny Muppet. I'm not somebody that thinks about destiny and fate, but I don't walk away from it when something unfolds. I'm not somebody that just wants to hold up a white flag and say, let's all just get along. I think people that do horrible things should be held accountable. I'm just wanting to make the proper breakfast and keep the house. That's my passion. At the request of my kids, I'm taking cooking classes. As I go to sleep at night, I think, did I do a great job as a mom? Or was that an average? I'm in a rare position where I don't have to do job after job. I can take time when my family needs it. I'm happy being myself, which I've never been before. I always hid in other people, or tried to find myself through the characters, or live out their lives. But I didn't have those things in mind. I'm doing more of my uni work and doing the African Union Summit and things like that. I'm always doing something. I never shut my brain off. I always have something going on. If you have enough people sitting around telling you you're wonderful, then you start believing you're fabulous, then someone tells you you stink, and you believe that too. If you don't get out of the box you've been raised in, you won't understand how much bigger the world is. If you ask people what they've always wanted to do, most people haven't done it. That breaks my heart. If there is even one woman out there who went and got checked and found that she had cancer or she was positive and she caught something in time, and if in any small way I was a part of that, it makes me very emotional. If something inconveniences my children too much or takes me away from them, I won't do it. If I think more about death than some other people, it is probably because I love life more than if I make a fool of myself. Who cares? I'm not frightened by anyone's perception of me. If I didn't have my films as an outlet for all the different sides of me, I would probably be locked up. If every choice you make comes from an honest place, you're solid, and nothing anybody can say about you can rock you or change your opinion. If anything, I get most upset because I want to read a good paper first thing in the morning, and if I see a lie about myself flash across the front of the cover, I don't think much of the rest of the newspaper. I'd like to believe that the people that have supported me in my work or identified with me in films, the people that feel they know me, they do, and they don't have misconceptions, they understand. I believe that I'd go from film to film and almost detach from one world and jump in another. I was living as these people and not having a self. I didn't know who I was. And things just get really dark. I wouldn't put myself forward to do a film like Changeling if I thought I couldn't pull people into a story because of all the other ways people see me. I went through a period when I felt my film characters were having more fun than I was. It might partly explain why I ended up tattooed or doing certain extreme things in my life. I think all women go through periods where we hate this about ourselves. We don't like that. It's great to get to a place where you dismiss anything you're worried about. I find flaws attractive. I find scars attractive.